Hey, what's up? We got a graphing a quadratic by hand problem. And in the first part of this, they want us to find the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry always has a formula x equals negative b over 2a. So when we've got our equation, y equals x squared minus 9, we need to rewrite that a little bit. We need to rewrite it as plus 0x minus 9. So that way we can tell what the a and the b are. So the a is going to be 1 and the b is going to be 0. So then you're going to plug in here and you're going to get negative 0 over 2 times 1. Well, that's just going to come out to 0. So our axis of symmetry is just x equals 0. And I'm just going to plot that on the y-axis because that's actually the same thing as x equals 0. So this already is our axis of symmetry. But they just asked us to find it. So when you ask to find it, then the answer is x equals 0. And that's how you graph it over there, x equals 0. But now it says find and state the vertex and the y-intercept. So let's start with the vertex. If you're trying to find the vertex, you know that it's going to have the same x coordinate as the axis of symmetry. So you just put a 0 there. And then you need to figure out what the y coordinate is when x is 0. So I'm just going to go back to that original equation. And I have to plug in a 0 where I see the x. So then I put 0 right there. And now it's 0 squared minus 9. And I'm pretty sure that's 0 minus 9, which is negative 9. So that tells us that the y coordinate of our vertex is negative 9. So this is the vertex. Now the second part of what they wanted was the y-intercept. Now whenever you get a y-intercept is always somewhere on the y-axis. And that means your x will always be 0. So the first thing I like to write down whenever I see a y-intercept is that x has to be 0. Okay, so that means we go to the original equation, y equals x squared minus... Wait a second, this is the same work as before! 0 squared minus 9. So it turns out that the y-intercept and the vertex end up being the exact same thing. They both end up being that point 0, negative 9. So I'm going to put that point here. And let's see, we've got down to 5, so this would be 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we'd have to go down there to negative 9. And now let's zoom out a little bit so we can see everything clearly without me being in the way. And then at that point, we've got part B done. Now it says plot the points and draw a smooth graph. Well, I've only got one point here. So before we do part C, let's actually do part D so we get some extra points. And those points are actually going to be our zeros. Now, when it says zeros, it means that the y is equal to 0. So it's the same thing as saying the x-intercepts. But now let's go back to the original equation. Y equals x squared minus 9. And let's plug in 0 for y. So right over here, we put our 0. And now it's 0 equals x squared minus 9. And that means I just have to add 9 to both sides. And you get x squared equals 9. And then x is going to equal not just 3, but also negative 3. So plus or minus 3. Now, that means you're going to have the coordinates of 3, 0 and negative 3, 0. So let's do that. Let's put down these points. So remember, we already had that one. And now 1, 2, 3, 0, and 1, 2, 3 in the negative direction, 0. Now it's looking like I might be able to connect these guys in a better way. Let's make a feathery quadratic and do that on the other side as well. And we finally did it. We finally graphed y equals x squared minus 9 using the vertex and also the zeros. So these guys are called the zeros. I think that's with an E. All right. Hope this was helpful. Good luck and like, subscribe. Thank you.